Another year, another fight, but this time, something feels different. In the shadow of roaring arenas and flashing pyro, beneath layers of glitz and nostalgia, WWE 2K25 emerges, not just as a sequel, but as a statement, a gauntlet thrown down by a franchise that's been grappling with identity, legacy, and evolution. And at the center of it all, a place they call the Island of Relevancy. Sounds powerful, right? Mysterious, almost sacred. But step onto its shores and you'll feel it. An unease, a disconnect. It's not just a new mode. It's a battleground for what this series wants to be and what it might be leaving behind. You're not just picking a wrestler this time. You're stepping into a space that's oddly empty, yet echoing with promises. There's tension here, between control and chaos, between fun and frustration. And deep down, whether you're a returning fan or a new recruit, you'll ask yourself, is this still the game I remember, or just the ghost of it? Strap in, because what looks like another yearly installment may just be the most quietly conflicted WWE game yet. At its core, WWE 2K25 doesn't rewrite the rulebook, but it doesn't need to. The in-ring gameplay is still the bedrock of this experience, and thankfully, it's more stable than ever. If you've touched the past two entries, you'll feel right at home. The timing windows, the reversal mechanics, the stamina trade-offs, they all snap into place with a familiarity that's comforting. It's not flashy, but it's sharp, clean, tight. Matches feel slightly slower this time around, not sluggish, but methodical, almost like the pacing's been tuned for weight and tension. Grapples land with more impact. Each animation has an extra frame or two of drama. You're not just button mashing here, you're orchestrating a match, reading your opponent, baiting them, managing momentum. And when that final finisher hits, it's satisfying in a way that only this franchise has nailed. Yet, it's not all gold. Controls remain layered, arguably too layered. With so many inputs, tied to modifiers, right-stick commands, and context-based actions, new players might feel overwhelmed. But for veterans, it's a dance, a rhythm game of pain and performance. This isn't a reinvention, it's a refinement. A reminder that while the chaos outside the ring grows louder, what happens inside still matters most. Now let's talk about what might be the quietest revolution in WWE 2K25, the new third-person camera system. On paper, just a different angle. In practice, a surprisingly bold move that subtly redefines how you experience every punch, slam, and dramatic near fall. Imagine ditching the traditional broadcast view, the safe, zoomed-out lens that's kept us distant for decades, and stepping into the chaos. The new over-the-shoulder, slightly tighter perspective draws you closer to the ring's gritty heartbeat. You feel the height of a top-rope elbow. You wince with each suplex. There's immediacy now. Urgency. The camera doesn't just show the action, it pulls you into it. And it's not a gimmick. It's intuitive. Right-stick movement lets you snap the view toward your opponent or scan the ring in real time. Need to reposition or execute a signature move? Just hold R2 to switch inputs, a smooth adjustment that becomes second nature in minutes. This small tweak makes a big emotional difference. Suddenly, every match feels like a scene in an action film, not just a simulation. Every move, more personal. Every dodge, more cinematic. Sure, you can still switch back to the old view, but once you feel this new perspective, it's hard to go back. Modes have always been the lifeblood of WWE 2K, and in 2K25, they're once again front and center, but with one clear spotlight hog, the Island of Relevancy. Pitched as the game's flagship feature, it's a shared online space where you build your own custom wrestler, engage in PvP matches, and wander through a light-touch storyline that feels oddly hollow. Think NBA 2K's The City, but stripped down. Fewer features, less charm, and a weird mix of sci-fi aesthetics and sports drama that never quite lands. And while the grind is real, what really stings is how aggressively it leans into pay-to-win mechanics. Want to raise your created character to a competitive 100 rating? You're staring down a $50 real money investment. That's not progression, it's a transaction. Thankfully, the classic modes are still here, doing the heavy lifting. My Rise remains delightfully unhinged, packed with goofy moments, over-the-top characters, and some surprisingly fun branching story paths, even if it's mostly text boxes and recycled animations. My Faction returns too, but it's still a microtransaction-heavy card grind that feels out of place unless you're into that niche. Showcase mode, themed around the bloodline, is held together almost entirely by Paul Heyman's voice. He injects energy where the stale objectives and rigid reenactments can't. Still, credit where it's due, it's a slickly packaged nostalgia ride. These modes don't break new ground, but they keep the match card full. Whether you're in it for the storylines, the spectacle, or just some good old fantasy booking, there's something to sink your teeth into. Microtransactions have always lurked in the background of WWE 2K, but in 2K25 they've taken center stage, especially within the island. From the moment you step into this mode, the economy starts whispering in your ear. Upgrade now. Look cooler. Hit harder. And it's not subtle. Boosting your character to a competitive level costs tens of thousands of VC, virtual currency that you can technically earn through gameplay, but at a snail's pace. For context, winning a match nets you about 120 VC. A pair of branded sneakers, 18,000 VC. Do the math. It's not just frustrating, it's predatory. The island feels less like a proving ground and more like a paywall wrapped in spandex. And while you can technically grind, the grind is so steep it actively discourages players from engaging unless they reach for their wallet. But amidst all this monetization, one thing still shines: community creations. It's the beating heart of this franchise, and it's just as wild, weird, and wonderful as ever. From ultra-realistic superstar recreations to bizarre meme wrestlers, scrolling through user-made content is half the fun. New AI behavior customization is a welcome touch too, finally letting you fine-tune how your creations wrestle in the ring. Still, the lack of cross-platform sharing stings. PC players are once again sidelined, with smaller libraries and less visibility. And with 2K's track record of sunsetting servers after a few years, the community's lifeblood always feels like it's on borrowed time. So yeah, the tools are powerful, but the system they live in, still deeply flawed. When it comes to performance and polish, WWE 2K25 walks a tightrope. On the surface, it's a good-looking game. Character models are sharper, lighting is more dramatic, and animations feel slightly more fluid compared to last year. The entrances? Still full of spectacle. The ring? Still alive with energy. Visually, it's clearly benefiting from another year of refinement. But under the hood, cracks begin to show. During our testing, we encountered some truly baffling crashes on both PC and PlayStation 5. One time, the game froze and crashed while idle on the main menu. Another time, it kicked us mid-match with zero warning. These weren't isolated incidents either. For a major yearly release, that kind of instability is disappointing, especially when you realize the Island, a headline feature, isn't even available on PC at launch. In 2025. Seriously, the load times vary wildly too. Some modes snap to life, others drag like it's 2016 again. And while frame rates are mostly stable in standard matches, larger multi-man bouts or custom arenas can still tank performance. It's not all doom and gloom though. The game can run well, and when it does, it feels snappy and responsive. But with this level of inconsistency and a few features missing entirely for certain platforms, it's hard to ignore the feeling that this version needed just a few more weeks in the gym. WWE 2K25 isn't a game trying to change the world. It's a game trying to prove it still belongs in it, and in many ways, it succeeds. The core wrestling? Solid. The roster? Massive. the moment-to-moment gameplay, as fun and dramatic as ever. It's a ring that still delivers the punches, reversals, and over-the-top finishers fans come for. If all you want is a few matches with friends, or to simulate your dream pay-per-view lineup, you'll find plenty to love here. But the truth is, this year's entry feels like a balancing act. On one side, smart quality-of-life updates, that slick third-person camera, a returning focus on custom content. On the other, a tired online mode wrapped in predatory monetization, shaky technical stability, and recycled ideas just polished enough to pass. And that's the real story here. It's not bad, it's just conflicted. The Island was supposed to be the bold step forward. Instead, it's the clearest sign of the tension at the heart of this series. Fun versus profit. Freedom versus grind. Still, if you know what you're walking into, and you're not buying the game for the Island, you'll find a surprisingly strong wrestling game beneath the noise. Just don't expect a reinvention. Expect a reminder